Welcome back to Campfire Thoughts. I am your host, Adrian Minnis, and today at the campfire we have my co-host, Seth Greenbaum. And today you're hearing this before the intro because we have a little bit of technical difficulties in the entire podcast. You will hear some background noises and some clicks that shouldn't be there, but if you can bear with us, we will continue to bring you guys good content every week. So please grab a snack, grab a beer, sit down by the campfire, and get ready to hear another tale.
I'm not insane.
Feeling okay? Do you get nervous? Are you high right now?
No, I was joking.
What's your birthday? Who's your dad?
Where am I?
Where are you from? And where did you go?
How did I get here?
Where did you come from?
I'm from the Shire.
Cotton Eye Joe. Did I go? I have been married a long time ago.
Where did he come from? Who knows?
He probably came from, like, Texas or something.
You know they were Swedish.
They were Swedish?
Yeah.
Oh.
My anus is bleeding. It isn't, actually. Well, long story short, I had French fries the other day. It really freaked me out, because, like, I took a shit, like, yesterday. And they were, like...
French fry shits?
They were, like, not digested.
Oh. You gotta chew your French fries there, bud.
No, but I mean, like... You know... I mean, most of it was chewed, but there were pieces, obviously, that, you know, got through the gullet.
Yeah.
But shouldn't the stomach acid have annihilated that potato?
Where was it from? Where did you get the fries from?
I forgot. The fucking... Someplace near my house. I got a burger... And, like, there were fries with it. It was one of the restaurants near my house.
I wonder if they were using, like, fake frozen fries.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Or, right, because, like, if it was, like, a real potato, at least, like, not be the same color coming out as it was going in. That's what freaked me out. I understand if it doesn't break down, like, the consistency, because it's a lot of material for all those enzymes to break down. But why the fuck is it the same color? It should be brown. It freaked me the fuck out.
Maybe they put dye in their French fries.
Nah, dude. This shit had, like, some kind of shit that was making it stay the way it was. You know? It's like that guy who put the French fries in, like, a jar, like the McDonald's French fries, and he left them in there for, like, a year, and they literally didn't change.
Jeez. Didn't he also do a full-on Happy Meal as well, and, like, the burger was, like, perfectly reserved?
Yeah, he did a burger, too. Like, he did a regular burger and regular fries compared to, like, a McDonald's burger and a McDonald's fry. I think the burger did go bad eventually.
Oh, yeah. They even showed that with McDonald's.
The fries never went bad, though.
Did you see the McDonald's advertisement? Oh, this wasn't McDonald's. This is Burger King. Burger King came out with a commercial where it ended up showing the full aging process of their burgers. To show that, like, if you leave their burger out, it's not gonna, you know, be perfectly preserved. Compared to...
The fact that they paid that much money to do that is just the saddest state of, like, right? Like, the fact that they saw this as a positive selling point, that their food goes bad.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of fucking, like, world do we live in?
They're like, hey, guess what? Ours does go bad. I'm looking at the BBC trending right now, the Iceland live streams. There's a 10-year-old Big Mac that still hasn't changed at all.
That's funny.
It looks exactly the same. He bought this in 2009 and still trying to get it to decompose. So I guarantee... Oh gosh. It's in a museum!
That's really funny. I love that. I love that so much. It's sort of like... That might, like, outlast, like, the human race. Like,
oh, definitely. It's in the National Museum of Iceland.
Like, aliens are gonna be, like, digging through, like, volcanic ash. Like, you know, excavating, like, you know, the remains of, like, a future Earth that's, like, ruled by squids or something. And then, like, they're gonna, like, you know, find this box and be like, this food has been preserved. The ancient civilization were experts in food preservation. But there was shit that was like, it is kind of a marvel of science, isn't it? Like that, the fact, you know, right?
Oh, definitely. It's definitely cool, kind of baffling that this actually even happened.
When I was growing up, we couldn't eat like fast food burgers and shit.
Yeah.
So I didn't have them until I was older. I really understand the appeal, though. It's very different from, like, a regular burger, but, like...
It's like a simpler, greasier, nastier type of burger.
Well, the meat doesn't seem to be really what it's about. It's just, like, slathering the crap all over it, you know?
Yeah, like and the sauce and everything. I actually just got a Big Mac recently, and it was so off-portioned. Like, it was 40% lettuce.
Right, there's not that much meat in, like, a Big Mac.
Yeah, no, it's just 2 patties.
And the patty itself is, like, this microscopic thing. You can't even get patties that thin, like, a super... Like,
no, they're quarter ounces.
They are?
They're quarter ounces.
I feel like they're so much thinner than a real hamburger.
I think they're 2-ounce burgers.
They're so... But, like, they smash them so thin.
Yeah.
They're like a thin... It's like a piece of paper.
And they're really high in fat content, so, like, they sizzle real quickly.
And it's like, it has that weird, like, smell they put in it.
It's like not a smell, they put a seasoning on it.
It's like beef flavor.
Yeah.
It's like artificial beef or something that has like a spark.
It's probably like beef tenderizer.
Well, no, it's like the you know, it's like the crap they put the French fries in. Once upon a time, McDonald's fries were cooked in the old beef fat from the burgers and shit.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And then they got a lawsuit because they were saying that that's what was leading to heart attacks.
And then they changed it to vegetable oil, but in order to retain that same flavor, they invented like a fake beef flavoring that they put into the oil.
Yummy.
So that's what they put in the meat too to make it taste like that, because it's really mostly filler, you know.
I bet that's absolutely delicious.
Listen, I understand the appeal. Like, when I was, like, literally, like, 19 or something, when I first had, like, a McDonald's hamburger, and it was, like, I was very drunk, and it was, kind of perfect for that moment. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a McDonald's hamburger, actually. It was from Burger King. It was good.
Bah! I feel like Burger King hamburgers are better than McDonald's hamburgers, but that seasoning that they put on the hamburger is what makes it so craveable. Because I'll have, like, cravings for that. I would be hungry for a McDonald's burger, like, so hard and have no reason to why.
There's, like, weird shit that they either put in, like, the grease or something, because I know how you feel, because it's, like, with, like, the fries and shit, too, where it's, like, they're not really good fries, and they're hella salty, but then you're like, I want them. Like, there's one near work. I don't really go there that often, but, like, I've been there before, and I'm like, I really want a fucking hash brown. I want to feel all that grease in my fucking mouth. I want to taste...
Especially after a night of heavy drinking. Those hash browns.
And I, like, no, I shouldn't. But that's, like, you know... But then, like, having an actual burger is a different kind of experience.
Yeah.
You know? It's not... Having a McDonald's fast food burger isn't like having a burger. Like, well, we had, like, like, In-N-Out Burger was kind of like having a regular burger, you know?
I would still call that a fast food.
That's like a fast burger, because it was super small.
Yeah, they're very thin. They're like a smash burger. I would still consider all those, like, fast food chains, the Five Guys, the Smash Burgers, the...
Like, a burger cooked on, like, a grill, like you would have at anybody's house or something, is so much different than, like, any of those.
Yeah. And most because people don't season their meat.
At home?
Yeah, a lot of grill people don't like to season their meat. I've gone to many a barbecue, and they'll be cooking burgers, and I'm like, oh, what do you season your burgers with? Like, nothing. What? It's burger and cheese, man. Burger cheese bun, you can put mustard and ketchup on it.
But that's okay, because, like, they're usually cooking it on, like, a grill, which brings the flavor.
Yeah, it brings, like, a smoky flavor, but, like, you still gotta put something on it.
You gotta at least put salt in it. And, like, you can put nothing else, but if you don't put salt in it, you're fucked.
Salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Just salt and pepper it, and then, like, put some additional seasoning.
Well, it's like when my dad was growing up, maybe it's because he put hella onions in the burger mix, and, like, garlic and shit, and that would make it taste so good. And, like, that's, like, the way I do it now, if I ever do it.
I like to do the burger meat, and you can get this recipe on Midnight Snack YouTube. I take, like, my burger meat, I melt down, like, a stick of butter, and I put it into it with all my flavorings and stuff. I crack an egg and then put onions in it. Mm-hmm. I mix them all together, make them into balls, and then I'll store them in the fridge or the freezer, just to kind of solidify a little bit, get all that butter to congeal into the burger. So then when I cook it off, it's like a greasy, like, all that butter comes out, and it helps cook the onions inside the burger.
Oh, so you add additional fat.
Yeah, just to help it cook to a greasier, crispier finish.
Okay, how do you feel? So I remember when I was at my first job out of college, I worked in this lab. That was my lab that I did when I was in college, and I worked for this my advisor, and we went, and she was connected with this lab in the Netherlands. So we went and worked in the Netherlands for like a few weeks, for like work, and it was it was like its own experience. But like anyway, like at the end of it, because the Americans were there, they had a barbecue. Literally, that's what they said. And they were like, oh, we're having barbecue. They weren't all Dutch. They didn't all have that accent. But, like, it was just, like, the people who were... The Dutch people are the ones who, like, they arranged the party, and they're like... So they had this... They had, like, the burgers that they had. First off, they had eggs and, like, flour in them. So they were, like...
Okay.
Like croquettes, I guess, or something that you grill.
Kind of like thicker, breadier. That's.
It's called trash. That's what it's called. It's called fucking crap. It should just be meat.
It should be just meat. You shouldn't have to add that to that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like a little. It was weird as shit, and I'm like, this is not a burger, people. I know that like this is what they were labeled burgers in the grocery store, but this is not what burgers are. And then like, I mean, they're Dutch. I mean, isn't that like German shit? Like you'd think they would have real burgers, but like
you think they would beat it all down to grab meat, put it on the grill, and then put it in between bread.
You think they'd been like familiar with the concept of it, but like.
Slicing cured meat, because they started the cured meat.
Well, this was like the clincher, though. They had ketchup. Well, they had hot dogs. The hot dogs were hot dogs, like sausage and shit. But like, that was normal. But like the, they had this stuff called All American Hot. They also they were obsessed with beer pong. They thought everyone in America just plays beer pong all the time. That's what they think of us. And, like, listen, it happens, but, like... So they had the red cups and everything and, like, the crappy beer and everything. I'm like, why are you doing this to us? Like, why are you torturing us? But anyway, they had this stuff that was called All-American Hot Dog Ketchup. It was called All-American Hot Dog Ketchup. And literally... It had curry in it, which is like...
What? That's not American.
No, I know. It was like, that's what ketchup is in Europe, is like, has curry in it in a lot of places, because... Especially in the Netherlands, because there's a big, like,
that sounds
Indonesian
so
population.
Weird, just the combination of curry and tomatoes. Especially not just, like, regular tomato. I can see it in just a straight, like, red vine or red tomato situation, but, like, curry... and fucking sugary tomato. Oh, God.
It has like a place, but it's not on a hot dog.
No.
And, like, when you're expecting all-American hot dog ketchup, and you're an American, you grew up, you know exactly what the fuck that tastes like, and then you get that, and it's curry, you're just like, what the fuck?
You're like,
And you're like, this is, like, must be, like, the way that, like, people from, like, other countries feel, like, when they come to America and they see our versions of their food. And I realized that's what that was. Like, when Chinese people come to America and they see Chinese food, they're like, what is this shit?
yeah. I actually tried mushu pork last night for the first time.
With the pancake?
They gave me tortillas.
Yeah, that's the mushu.
Yeah, it's fire.
It's so good.
So good.
With the little sauce?
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good.
I haven't had that in a long time. It's so good.
Oh, there's a place that we found. It wasn't that expensive, but it was like... Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, but, like, have you had, like, real Chinese food?
Not necessarily.
Like, Chinese food? It's way different.
Like, I've had baozi and, like, gyoza, but, like, that's still more Americanized Chinese food.
Well, it's, like, a lot of... Like, bao is, like, a recent kind of thing. It's not, like, an old... I think it's, like, a 20th century, like, invention.
Ah.
But, that would be, like... I mean, gyoza are, like, old thing, but it's, like, the,
Old?
But, like, there's flavors and shit that we just don't have in the West, like, at all.
Yeah. Like fresh taro. I would love to try a fresh taro. You can only get it in powder in the U.S.
Oh, like a taro root?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that is really good.
I bet that, like, you can peel off the skin of it and then just bite into it, and it's, like, super sweet and potato-y.
It's also, like the spices and stuff they use in, like, real Chinese cooking. Like, they really on, like, fermented stuff. And also on, like,
they use a lot of, like, random flower leaves and, like, seeds of flowers. Like star anise.
Yeah, they use a lot of, like, anise, and, like, they use a lot of, like, and I guess it's, like, regional, too, because it's, like, you know, I'm thinking of, like, Szechuan, like, cooking, where it's, like, they use a lot of, like, clove and stuff like that.
And random peppers that you can't really grow here.
These days, like, in like, even in, like, European cooking where they'll put clove in, like, a pumpkin pie or something, it's never, like, used in, like, the amount that would, like, you realize that clove is spicy, you know? Mm-hmm. But clove is spicy. It makes your mouth go numb.
Oh, yeah.
They call it, like, numbing spice. And it's, like, there's stuff called, like, numbing tofu or, like, numbing eggplant where it's, like, heavily cloved. I remember having it. The place burned down, so you can't go there anymore, but there was this restaurant that my friend took me to when I went to New York many moons ago. And I was eating this eggplant, and there was so much clove in it that, like, my mouth went numb, but at the time I didn't know what it was. And it was really spicy, too, with, like, peppers, and it was delicious. But it's stuff that we don't, like, experience even in, like, spicy cooking, like, you know.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. When I was young, my grandma and I tried making a clove cake, like a British clove cake, and she started making the cake, like sifting out the flour and all the dry ingredients, and she told me to pestle her whole clove that she had. It's like, this stuff smells good, Grandma. And she was like, yeah, just keep pestling it, just keep grinding it down until it's a powder. Alright.
It must have taken forever.
Oh yeah, it took like at least 20 minutes, especially since I was like 8.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But I ended up getting so, like, aroused by not aroused by the smell, but intrigued by the smell.
It's okay, you can say you were aroused.
That it wasn't like an arousal to it. Wasn't like that type of attraction.
You had an erection because you were smelling spices, and that's okay. It's natural.
So I was aroused by the smell so much that I grabbed like 3 whole cloves and I put it in my mouth. And just started chewing on them.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, my mouth went numb. But, Grandma!
I think everyone does that, because, like...
I can feel my mouth. And she's like, did you eat one of those?
It's like, it smells good. If you ask my mother, she'll tell you about how I ate potpourri when I was a child. And there was a big chunk of clove, and it made me freak out, because I was like, it was too much.
Oh.
It was bitter and shit.
Make your mouth just like...
Yeah, I mean...
It was very cool. It was like taking a whole spearmint and just putting it in your mouth for like 15 minutes.
Well, eugenol, the chemical that's in it, is like it has like a numbing effect.
Mm.
I believe it's in weed.
Oh.
I might be wrong, though. And it's only in trace amounts, you know. So it has like they say it has some kind of analgesic effect usually. That's why that, you know.
Yeah, they do it in like a.
The terpenes.
It's probably like a terpene thing. Yeah, you're right.
Terpenes.
So, how do you feel about small towns?
In my life, okay. I mean, I grew up in Baltimore, in like the city, in like the East Coast. It's kind of like the big city, and like. When I went to college, I lived in Ohio in like a small town for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to the city. So I've had the experience of both. And like, you know, I think that it's sort of like they're both good and bad, you know? It's not like, I think just like people are inclined to like be able to tolerate the bad parts of one and not tolerate the bad parts of another, you know? Just based on their personality, you know? Because it's just different bad parts, depending whether you live in a small town or a big city. Like, in a big city, you have to deal with, like, crackheads. You have to deal with crackheads in a small town. But it's, like, you have to deal with, like...
Everyone knows the crackheads, and they know why in a small town.
Or it's just, like, petty crime is more prevalent in, like, a city, you know? Like, there's, you have to counter that kind of shit.
Some of the most gruesome things happen in small towns.
Yeah, and it's, like, in a small town, you'll have, like... the same kind of shit happen on like a larger scale, like you said, like a serial murder or something.
Yeah, or like drug trafficking going through because fucking Karen over there in fucking lot 2B has goddamn Percocets.
Right, and like but a lot of it's the same kind of shit. Like there's still gangbangers in a small town. There's still drug dealers in a small town. There's still crackheads in a small town. It's the same kind of shit. There's just less of it. And you know what that means? Everyone is up each other's ass. You couldn't take me to a fucking small town again. Fuck that shit. Okay, that's my position. I'm a city... it's either I want to live in the city, you know? Or, like, in, like, an urbanish area where there's lots of people around, you know? And I feel like, you know, a human being. Yeah. And not, like, I have to fucking know everybody, you know?
Yeah, I feel that.
And, like... You know, like, it's not like everybody's fucking asking my name or necessarily even saying hello to me, you know? Like, I'm okay with that level of anonymity, you know? But it's like, I also, like, the alternative to that would be, like, living in, like, the forest. Like, I wouldn't want to live in a small town. Like, you know.
So you would rather be completely secluded than living in, like, in a small community town?
Because, at, like, in a small town... You have more community. You have people interacting with each other. You have more people are aware of each other. People know each other. Like, people actually know their neighbors. Mm-hmm. Like, when I lived in that town, not even just the people I went to school with, but, like, the people in that town. And I lived there for, like, a little bit after, like, I graduated and stuff like that. So I got to know a lot of people just, like, from drinking in the bar and shit like that. Yeah. Or, like, people just, like, you know, that you just know from, like, town and shit like that. That you work with or whatever. And it's just, like... There's not that many people in the town. And, like, the little towns that are around it, there's also not that many people. And you end up just kind of knowing the same people. And everybody knows shit about you that maybe you want to forget. And it's just, like, you can't kind of walk down the street without, like, you know...
Everyone knowing.
Which, for some reason, I have a problem with. And I think that's a problem with me. If you're into that, then a small town is beautiful. I mean, a sense of community can be really... beneficial to a lot of people, and I think I see the benefit of that, you know, and I think this sort of emptiness of living in the city is also something that drags on you as well.
Yeah.
I think for me, I will not be happy until I'm living, like, in nature, like, away from
You're living out
the city and this town, you know?
You're in, like, Montana in the middle of the mountains.
Not even. Like, just literally there's just trees just separating me from the next person.
Fuck it, I don't want to hear anybody else. Maybe the wind, the trees, and a couple elks. That's what I strive for and what I die for.
There's a guy I know who, like, he got some kind of gig, like, doing accounting for an unnamed, like, ski resort. And he got a piece of land and, like, basically lives out of one of those, like, trailer, like, hitch, like, pods. It's not a full trailer, it's like a pod.
Like one of those ones that you put on top of the back of a pickup truck?
It's like that size, but it hitches off the back. He lives in that
okay.
and, like, is building a cabin off this land that's, like, an abandoned ski resort from, like, 50 years ago.
Ooh, that sounds dope, though. I bet he's gonna make a dope-ass cabin.
I, like, see him on Instagram, and I'm, like, watching him build... I worked with him years ago, but I see him building this cabin, I'm like... I fucking want to just do that. Like, it's just, like, I can't... Especially now... I don't want to get into, like, the situation now, pretend that it's not happening. I'm, like, really burnt out on, like, people, you know?
Yeah.
The whole, like, virus situation has made me really, like, make me want to go out into the woods and not be around people for a while, honestly.
Yeah, I feel that.
I know a lot of people are in isolation, but for the folks who actually have to go out and live out in the world, it's been a nightmare.
Yeah. I kind of want to just go out and be by ourselves, too. People are way too crazy and way too... Everyone has such a strong opinion about everything going on, and it's like, I just want to not have an opinion about all of this. I just want to get back to life as it was, or at least try to. I know we'll never get back to the way it was, but, like, I want to at least try to, you know, become a better place where we all don't hate each other. Or something. I don't know.
I understand.
But, like, do you feel like it's fair to have rumors based off of where you come from?
What do you mean?
Like, our topic today, which is the vampire of Lafayette. His name was John Tranderiff. He was born in Transylvania, Romania, and he died in Lafayette in 1918 due to, it was the pneumonia pandemic of 1918. So it is said that in Lafayette there is a gravesite that you can go up to. It's a very nice gravesite where right behind a giant tree is the tombstone of John. So people say that from that tombstone, or not from that tombstone, but since it's right under the tombstone, it's growing from his head.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that it's some entity that's there, growing from there. There's vines that go around and circle around from mid-grave up towards the tombstone, and people say that they look like fingers, like fingernails.
Ooh.
So... people have gone out there and tried seeing this grave, tried to see what has happened in that grave, and when they approach the grave, their batteries drain, they see a shadow on top of the tree of a person, and there's even some reports from the local sheriff of people getting assaulted by some creature, by some person, or something. And then all of a sudden, where they go back to the scene, they can find some footprints, but it always leads right back to the grave. And stops. Just disappears. Kind of sounds like a raccoon.
Drunk people?
But, like, there is no actual evidence of anything of this. Like, people have gone out there, they've taken pictures, there isn't much evidence except for seeing a tree on top of a gravesite. And it makes no really sense on why there would be anything there. You know, John wasn't a vampire. People thought he was a vampire just because he was born in Transylvania. John was a coal miner, he was an active part of the community, he went to church, he had a family, he had 2 brothers and his mother still, but they all were still left in Romania. He wanted to leave Romania and come to Colorado, or come to the U.S. in general, just to have a better life, and he found that mining out in the silver mines in Lafayette would try giving him some type of money. So...
Right, Transylvania is a mountain region in Romania, right?
Yeah, and he comes from a line of miners. Like, his whole family mined out in Romania, so when he came here, he was very deep into two things: getting money and going to church. Very active in the community. He did wed, and his wife did die later on in the year after he died for the same thing, pneumonia. But there's no saying for her. She has the same rose thorns that go out towards her grave.
I mean, it's just a plant. I mean, it's roses, right? You're talking about there's just roses growing around their grave.
Yeah, it's rose vine that grows around their grave. It never blooms roses, but there's always thorns on it, and people say that that's supposed to represent his fingers.
I mean, this seems like people just sort of making bullshit up because this guy was, like, from that place that they associated with Dracula, probably because it was right when that book came out.
Probably.
And, like, that's what they associated with.
It was so played off as he was a vampire that it made the local Post. It made the Denver Post.
Like, when he was alive or when he was dead?
Like, his obituary made the Denver Post.
Like, when he was alive, they thought he was a vampire?
No, when he was alive, they just thought he was a regular person.
Oh, but when he died, they thought because of his grave that he was a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it said that there's spirits there that haunt that graveyard. But on the other hand, Lafayette was part of a massacre for the Native Americans. So, like, maybe that was an already existing graveyard that they started using, and...
How do you know it's him? Like, there's plenty of ghosts.
Oh, definitely. There's no way to really tell if it's actually him. No one's gone out there and tried asking questions and get answers. Anyone that's gone out there, they see a figure on top of the tree and on top of the gravesite, and then that's it.
Well, it's just like, I don't know, it's just like, he's just like from a place. Like, that's all that, like, that means. And they probably say it because it says it on the stone, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I was born in Transylvania. But anyway, but the, I, like, a friend, like, one of my closest friends growing up, she was, she was not born in Russia. She was born in America, but her family was, like, from the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Like, they came over when, like, her mom was pregnant in, like, the 90s. And, like, like 1990 when I was born. And, like, the, her father was from Transylvania.
Oh, wow.
He was just, like, a computer programmer. Like, it was, like not inconsequential. Like, it's just a regular place. I mean, at the time, I guess it was in the Soviet Union. It's just a country now. And my grandma, my step-grandma, was from Romania. That's where Transylvania is, right?
Yeah.
So probably, I mean, it's just, like, he's just some dude. Like...
He's just a guy that came from Romania and was just, like, trying to make a living for himself.
But it's even the story of Dracula. It's not like everyone in Transylvania is a vampire. The people in Transylvania are terrified of this one vampire that lives there in the story. Dracula. Yeah. They all are like, oh, there's this vampire that lives in this castle. It's not like everyone there's a fucking vampire. Yeah. Like, it's Vampire High or something.
And it's not like Dracula's out there trying to make every single person in Transylvania a fucking vampire.
It's not fucking Twilight. There's just the one guy. It's like, and it's just like,
he's not a glitter pussy.
And it's probably like the author of that book was just like, I'll choose some, like, no, wait, I think Vlad the Impaler, like, that historical figure was from Transylvania.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. But the story was him, wasn't that he was a vampire, is that he, like, drank the blood of his enemies.
Oh.
Which I think, you know, was more of, like, a power move, I guess, back then.
It's just a very weird flex.
Yeah.
You're just like, yo, you see this right here? You know, oh, what type of wine is that? Is that a Merlot? Nah, that was Griffin from down the fucking way. He didn't return my lawnmower.
Yeah, you see he's impaled on that spike over there. Just...
look at the fire. He's roasting up there.
And, yeah, so I feel like, I kind of feel, it's like, it's something that happens in, like, small town America, like, all the time, you know?
Yeah. Rumors just being caused just because where people come from, where people live.
I mean, let's real talk. Like, go back to, like, the 17th century. in like Massachusetts and like the Salem witch trials, like that was just some lady who was like from Africa who they like thought was a witch who like was making fucking like who was just like
participating in what she believed in.
I think she was just making toys for kids and they thought it was like magic and then they killed everybody. I remember like it's like they just like don't understand what's going on. These people are nuts. And you could imagine like the small town mentality in like colonial Massachusetts was probably like rough.
Yeah.
Like
it was probably absolutely horrid.
Well, I think the Puritans would like literally like watch to see like how their neighbors were like having sex and shit like that, like like in the windows and shit. Like they were way up each other's butts.
Ooh.
And like you know how some people just cannot mind their own business.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, and it's like, why the fuck does this guy have to be a vampire? You know? Like, maybe he's a witch. Like, what the fuck? Like, who cares? Like, maybe, at least he was dead, right?
Maybe he was just a good person. I mean, there was no pre-existing rumors from what I could tell. Like, I did some research to make sure that, like, it didn't, like... there wasn't like some pre-existing history of him like biting people or
they probably didn't
that were caused, but no, he was just a regular citizen.
They probably didn't think about it at all until they saw it written on his gravestone and they freaked out because they were dumb.
They probably had a ceremony for him and they were like, "We're gathered here today to mourn the loss of Sir John Tradifer."
What?
He was from Transylvania, Romania.
He was born in Transylvania.
Hold on, he was a vampire. We let a vampire into our lives and we're going to bury him and plant a tree on his grave.
I mean, like, at least they didn't, like, lynch him or something, think he was a vampire.
Yeah.
Sorry, that took a dark turn.
I mean, that's what would happen.
That's like the dark side of like small town rumors is people getting murdered. Like
yeah, people getting stoned and lynched and.
What's the thing? It's like people like in that like whole like situation where people are kind of like on like you know, everyone like knows each other. Everyone's in each other's business. There's not a lot of space to share. It's like
yeah.
It's like it can be really intense. I don't know why I immediately thought of like Joseph Smith, like I was just like thinking about you know like Joseph Smith like in the Mormon like what happened to Joseph Smith like do you know that story? For our audience, basically what Joseph Smith was in like Missouri like and he was like declared himself like you know like Godhead or whatever of like the Mormon like church as it was like fledgling and like the people in Missouri basically like got guns together and like arrested him and then like killed him. Like,
oh wow.
And they were also like you know they drove all the Mormons out of Missouri and shit like that and like not I mean listen I mean like it's a freaky deaky shit back then you know that they were up to but it's like you know I don't know if it's like I could imagine living in a town where it's like normal for people to just drive random people in town out of town, you know.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think I would ever back that. If that ever came up, I would just be like, I'm
getting the fuck out of here is what I would say because next they're gonna turn on the Jews.
They're not gonna turn on the Jews. They're gonna turn on the Satanists before they turn on the Jews.
Oh, dude, they're gonna fucking like they're just gonna have a big fucking human barbecue at that point if there's Satanists and Jews in their tiny ass Missouri town. Like the fucking preacher's coming out. Like he's like, okay, shit's going down. We need to fucking.
Well, not even just like a Jew, but a gay Jew.
Oh God.
That's a double whammy.
I don't think they were cognizant of that concept back then. I don't think they understood what that was, but yeah, so yeah, it can be really treacherous in like these small town environments if they're not hospitable, you know.
Yeah, because like I've always wanted to take. I feel like a small town is good for raising kids. You know, you can try getting a job that's out there that's more lenient towards it. They can go towards a school where they have better attention drawn towards them. And then, you know...
There's access to, like, nature and, like, usually, and like
you can learn a lot more life lessons out there.
well, it's
You don't get the big city lessons where you worry about getting jumped and mugged every time you go and walk the street.
well, it's also in a city. There's not really a sense of, depending on where you live in your situation, there often isn't a full sense of like community. Like there's your neighbors, but that's not the same thing as like community as often there is in these smaller towns. So it's like that can be really beneficial for a lot of people, especially like if you're living in conditions or environments where it's like, maybe a little bit intense and people kind of have to work together to like survive.
Yeah.
If it's like you're far away from big cities, there's not access to that kind of thing. You live in like Alaska or some shit, like.
Yeah, that's way too far. Those rural places where you have to grow your own food.
Yeah, people have to work together. Like, you need like communities in those towns and villages in order to like live, and like.
And that's not like the dependency you need to actually.
And people in cities notoriously kind of don't give a shit about each other a lot of times. At least in America, but like, I mean, in like. But it seems like in a lot of these like global like mega cities, people kind of like they're not necessarily even like they exist on their own as like even independent of the countries that they're in. It's like like Tokyo and New York have more in common with each other than they do to like the rest of Japan or the United States. Like it's like its own little like human universe that these like a lot of cities are like. So it's like. And it's like a complete like absence of like community. It's like you are just part of this like sea of human life,
Yeah, it's literally like living robots.
Kinda, yeah.
It's people are robots at this point in time because there's no community. All everyone does is work and eat and lust.
Like you could disappear and people wouldn't realize, and like people like have their like little like enclaves and stuff like that, but again it's sort of like built on like transient kinds of foundations in a lot of those places. So I guess there's sort of like benefits to both, but
yeah,
you couldn't. Personally, I'm kind of sick of living in the city, and I really would not want to live in a small town. So I don't know where I'm supposed to live.
Everywhere. You're supposed to live absolutely everywhere.
I'm really honestly like, let's just build that cabin in the woods.
I need to get some more woodworking equipment before we do that. We're thinking about getting a chainsaw.
You should have a chainsaw if you don't have one.
Yeah, gas-powered chainsaw.
Is there any other kind? I know there's other kinds,
electric, but like, why would you do that to yourself? It would be cool if I could find a hydro-powered one.
Well, I mean, you want to be able to like take the chain out and go run around terrorizing kids on Halloween.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you also want to be able to go camping up in Carbondale, Colorado, June 12th.
You're bringing a chainsaw. Jesus.
Yeah, just to cut up like bigger pieces of wood.
Okay.
Not to go like crazy and chopping down trees. I don't do that. Like
No, you're gonna put on a mask and go wilding out like at the fucking villagers in the small town of Carbondale, which is like a like
the middle of the mountain.
It's a town made of carbon, and it is black and dusty, and it will stain your fingers. Is it?
It is a giant mountain where they did find large carbon deposits.
Here's the carbon. I love like these towns in Colorado. It's like crystal, Telluride. Oh, what did they find there that they just like? It's like
Eagle, Alamosa.
I would say it's like they just like named after whatever mineral deposit they found there. Yeah. It's like there's like
Well, how do you explain Vale, Breckenridge?
I don't know. That's some like German crap, but like the what was it like? There's like basalt, which is just named after a type of rock, or like a Telluride, or like Carbondale. It's like or Leadville.
Oh god.
Listen. Leadville is, like, honestly one of my favorite places on planet Earth. Like, all props to Leadville.
Leadville, shout out to Leadville. Campgrounds.
It's shockingly, like, lead-free. Don't worry. You will, like, your water will be free of lead in Leadville. Don't you worry. I didn't even think about that when we were there. Leadville.
Don't lick the rocks.
Don't lick the rocks in Leadville. Molybdenum capital of the world.
What if that's where they made, like, all their tea factories?
The tea?
Yeah. Like, that's where they had the Celestial seasonings. They moved it to, like, Leadville.
Oh, proudly made in Leadville, Colorado. Enjoy your tea. You know, it's probably why there's not a lot of food manufacturers in the town of Leadville. Besides the fact that it's at like 11,000 feet, but it's also like, it's like.
Isn't there just like a ton of it's like flat land and like commercial shit out there, isn't it? Like industrial warehousings.
It is the molybdenum capital of the world, I believe. It has a huge molybdenum mine.
That's delicious.
I believe molybdenum's used in like electronics. I think it's also used in like fertilizer.
Ooh. Yummy.
And I'm pretty sure that's it. And a lot of weed, and some crystal stores, and like some Mexican restaurants, and I believe there's a bar.
There's definitely like 4 different bars.
There's a gas station, like
12 liquor stores.
There's like I remember like there's a synagogue there for some reason. No Jews, but there is a synagogue.
Oh, you know, you gotta have your.
It's a museum that they just.
We'll make these people drive all the way out here just to go inside. We have a very beautiful museum. It's very nice out here. It's dry. It's not very moist. It's good. You just gotta bring some lotion.
You're joking, but like, yes, literally, you're describing the experience of it. It was very nice.
Did you go with your mom?
Yeah, and it was like there was like a festival going on.
Is that what she sounded like the entire time she was there?
My mother doesn't sound like that. That's like what I sound like when I'm trying to sound like everyone I grew up with. Everyone else's mom that I grew up with.
No, your mom's fun. We need to definitely have her on the podcast sometime.
Oh my god.
That would be fucking wild.
That would be epic. That would be...
The, like, hardware I was looking into at Guitar Center, it gave us 3 microphones. So, like, we can get a third one so we can have your mom in as a guest.
I'm like, there's no way that's, like, gonna happen. And, like, I don't know if I'm gonna see my mother in person, like, for another year.
Oh, it's probably gonna take, like, a year and a half until we see her again.
Like, we're talking about, like, different levels of, like, disease panic than normal people, so it's like we're to have to add another 6 months to the time scale.
Has she tried going down to her apartment lately?
They are doing that this summer.
Oh, they are?
What they're doing is right now they're in Maryland. They ended up there, they got stuck there. But they ended up almost finishing like what they had to do there, and then they said they were gonna just like get like a van or something,
mm-hmm.
and like just drive straight through from Maryland to Denver, and then stay here for like a while.
It's a smart idea. They should sell everything they have up there, or at least like rent it out, so they can still make money off of their property. And like buy themselves an RV and come to Colorado once everything dies down. They can use the RV to just travel.
That's their ultimate goal. But I think more immediately they want to like come and make sure I'm alive. But it's also like I don't know how they'll reconcile like not actually wanting to be around me in person. So I don't know.
Does your mom listen to the podcast?
No.
Oh.
I don't think she understands what a podcast is.
You should just send her the YouTube link and just be like, play this while you make treats. Bake something and play this while you bake.
I feel like if there's not like like farts or assholes like involved in every second, she won't be interested. That's like the level of comedy that like would have to draw her interest.
But this isn't comedy. This is entertainment.
This is content. That's what they call it. Content.
We are content creators.
Content creators.
We went to one of Ellie's friends' house last night, and they have a neighbor that likes to, join them and hang out with them from time to time, which isn't, like terrible. It's not at all. But she kept asking me what I do. She's like, what do you do? What do you work as?
Who the fuck is asking that right now to people? What an obnoxious thing. Like, is your head just, like, completely up your ass that you're not aware of what's going on in the fucking world? They're just asking people what their job is?
I'm sorry, but she wasn't aware that it was this person's birthday. She, like, would say happy birthday, but, like, gave no care to her emotional being or what she was doing.
Listen, I've had pop-in neighbors before, and, like, it's like a characteristic. They don't actually care about you. They just want attention at all times.
Which, she's a very nice lady. She's very kind.
Is she, like, demented?
She was very drunk.
Ding, 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 ding. I was, like, wondering what the fuck's going on with this lady.
Very, very drunk. But, like, it was just ridiculous. And I kind of lost track of where I was going with this.
It sounds like it wasn't a great experience.
It was not. And she ultimately needed to just stop doing what she was doing because she was just kind of ruining everything.
Listen, I am primed to be in that situation, and I would have booked it. In the sense that, like, I would have left. That's what I mean. Because I would have had a panic moment just being around that person.
Insane. But she kept asking me, what do you do for a living? And I was just like, well, currently I'm unemployed. And she was like, oh, is that like a personal thing that you did? And I was like, no, I lost my job because of the virus. And she was like, oh, well, are you going to be opening back up? What do you do? I'm like, I'm a chef. And she's like, oh, cool, when does your kitchen open back up? And I was like, it's not, it's closing down because we lost our jobs in this completely. We lost the restaurant. She's like, oh, okay, well, what are your plans? What are you going to do? I'm just like, well, right now I'm a content creator. I'm working on things and putting them online. And she was like, what's that? It's just like, I'm making things and I'm putting them online. She's like, oh, okay. A couple hours later, she goes and points at this guy that just walks in, and she goes, so, what would you do with all the contents in my freezer? And he just stares at it like, I don't know, depends on what you got in there. She's like, you know. He's like, I've never really met you, I'm sorry, I don't really know. And she's like, well, I got shrimp, I got scallops, I got crab, I got octopus, I got sausages. And he's just like, I don't know, something seafood. And she's like, you're the chef, right? And I'm just sitting there next to her like, okay.
Thank you for not asking me to go to this event. I wouldn't have gone because of the virus, but, like, I would have, like, had to, like, go see a rabbi after that. Like, I'm having a hard time.
Like, or Ellie's friend was having a very rough time with that whole event because, like, it was just way too much for
You're talking about, like, it's at her birthday party or something?
At her birthday party at her house. And this person kind of just, like, walks on in. They opened the door, and she just kind of, like, pushed it open and sat down.
What is it, like, a
neighbor?
Is it an older woman?
Yeah.
Like
60s? Mid-60s?
Right, because, okay.
And, like, she's really nice, but, like, this person says, like, I'm their mom. And I look at her, and I'm just like, no, I know their moms.
When we live together, this is not something you'll have to deal with.
Yeah, no,
I'm not. That's not gonna happen. Be like,
I'm not gonna.
Hi. Oh, thank you for coming over. Have a nice day. Go.
You wanted to come sit down? Well, I'm kind of doing something right now, and I need you to leave.
You give her you get a glass of vodka and be like, hey, I got you a drink, and you just toss it out the door.
Whenever she would
go chase after.
Whenever she would talk, she would start talking about her kids, and nobody was interested in it, so everybody would ignore it, and she would just be sitting there rocking back and forth, just like. And every time I brought up satanic shit, I would hear her saying prayers under her breath.
It's the least weird thing that you said. That's it's this lady's got, oh man. You listen, it's okay to be friendly to your neighbors. It's good, it's important to build community. But sometimes you need to make good judgments about the specific people you allow within your home, especially if they got the psycho shakies.
Oh yeah, she's a cat lady, and their cat's walking around.
Yeah.
And I tuck my feet up so the cat doesn't touch me because I didn't want to go into anaphylactic shock. So she's walking around, and the other lady's this lady's just like, oh, I should bring my cat over. Allie's friend's like, no, you shouldn't bring her over because last time you brought her over, they didn't like each other. Oh, this time's going to be different. No, it's not. She's not going to like her. She kept saying, I should bring her over. And she comes up to me, oh, you would love my little Bentley. My little Bentley's such a sweetheart. And I'm just like, I would not love your Bentley. She smacks me, and I'm just like, why are you fucking touching me?
You see them.
I don't fucking know you. Don't fucking touch me. What is wrong with you? Get your hands off of me. Don't touch me.
Oh my god. You see, the mistake was letting her in the first place. You just open a whole can of worms. You gotta clock crazy in the beginning and be like, no. You could, be your friend. Just don't let him in your house.
Just make it limited. No,
stick it to the porch or something.
Yeah, a hallway.
Unless you're short. I'm just kidding. I would be a terrible neighbor. I'm
a friendly person. But, you can't get that friendly. Unless if we actually like each other like friends and it's mutual, you can't force a friendship upon a person.
That is very true. That's something that kind of just happens, and it depends. It's who knows what it's based on, but it's the...
And you're never going to always like your neighbors. You're never going to get that perfect cul-de-sac that everybody loves each other.
It's really also I believe, with my neighbors I'm very friendly with, but it's not I'm and a lot of them I talk to and stuff, and I know them and,
mm-hmm.
flirt with them. Some of them I've been over their houses and stuff like that, and they've been over whatever, but it's I feel there's a certain level of it's not even about trust. It's sort of about whether I would sort of trust you in my house to not just break something. It's it's something about I can like you and be your friend, but it doesn't necessarily mean I want you poking around my stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, it depends. You have to be a really close friend for that. I feel for me, because I'm a very antisocial person. But
it took me 7-8 months until I was able to go back into your room.
Really?
Yeah. Well, that, and just because I always feel awkward going into other people's rooms.
Oh.
It's the place where they sleep. People hate going in, or when people go into their rooms because they're I don't want people to judge me. And I don't judge people based off of their bedrooms, because I know that's supposed to be the messiest place. It's where you're getting changed, where all your clothes are, it's where your bed is at. At the end of the day, you just want to say fuck it and go to bed. That's more respectable.
Right. It's I feel it's in a neighborly kind of way. It's kind of neighborly not to impose that upon people. And the biggest sort of red flag for me is when people kind of invite themselves into your home,
mm-hmm.
And we're going back to talking about small towns. When I lived in a small town, especially after I graduated, I was just working there. Like, I had pop-in neighbors from all over town who would just show up at my house without even fucking knocking. They would just walk in the door. And, like, it was awful, because, like, you're, like, a long day at work, you just want to fucking go home, you know? And, like, watch TV, take a nap, do anything but, like, fucking interact with people, because you spend all day interacting with people, and it's, like...
You have to be at, that, like you said, you have to be at that certain friendship to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's just like in that kind of environment, people really take liberties, and sometimes you just want to have like a space to yourself, and that's like what your home has to kind of be, where it's like you should be able to like the people who I like. It's not even a matter. It's like there's people I really like where it's like I'm apprehensive about just having them over all the time because they just would take that liberty, you know. Mm-hmm. Where it's like I want people who are respectful of my space to be at my house. Mm. You know, who understand boundaries, who understand not to, like, poke in my fucking bedroom like you. It's like, you know, which I appreciate. If you walked in my bedroom or, like, looking at my lube and shit, I would be, and my sex toy drawer and shit, I would be pretty, like, invaded. Especially if I didn't know you that well. But now I wouldn't care. But it's like, back then, maybe.
I still even want to do it now. Like, if you told me...
I mean, what do you want to see that? You don't want to see that? It's like opening, like... It's like...
I don't want to know that part of you.
It's like opening... It's like when they pull the fucking sheet off, like, a body in, like, a morgue. Like, do you know this person? It's like, it's too much. And, but, I mean, like, it's like where it's like, oh, I like what I was apprehensive about. And, like, I had friends where it's like, they would just text me before they came over. And I had full trust of them. And then the people who just, like, pop in. Mm-hmm. I literally once, like, my friend who shall not be named, like, I heard her coming up the stairs and about to come out, and I hid in my closet. Because I was, like, not wanting to interact with her. But I didn't have the heart to tell her, like, get the fuck out of my house.
Do I know this friend?
No.
Okay.
This is a friend of mine from college.
Oh, okay.
And, like, I had a downstairs neighbor who, like, was, like, really chill. And he was so, like, like, he was very, like, respectful of, like, that space, you know? Mm-hmm. It's just, like, people, like, and he, like, lived right down, like, he could have been a pop-in neighbor, you know?
Yeah. But he was more respectful of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've ever dealt with neighbors. Like, all of my neighbors currently around here, the only ones I actually talk to are these ones back here.
I mean, I don't think this is a pop-in neighborhood.
I mean...
I should hope not.
These guys... Our neighbors right behind us that have the dogs, they wanted to when we first moved in, but we kind of, like, nipped it on the butt.
Yeah.
Without, you know, we just wouldn't hit them up all the time. Talk to them casually. We see them out there, we say hi. But, like, we're not texting them about barbecues and shit like that. Because, like, we want to respect their space. We hope they respect our space. But, like, even before then, I've only ever had neighbors bother me when they need something. They bother us when they need alcohol and they can't drive. Lately that hasn't been, like, a deal, but, like, we've done it once or twice for them. But...
That's, like, just depressing. But the, yeah.
They have one car. One car, and the wife stays home. She's an at-home mom. So he works and he takes the car.
Okay, it wasn't what I was thinking. Like, no, they're both trashed and they're like, can you get us more alcohol?
Oh, no. They're both really, really sweet people.
That's like something nice. That happened to me with a pop-in neighbor in that town. That's like from experience. Oh, man.
It was like, I need alcohol. Help.
I really, like, don't... Drunk pop-in neighbors are the worst kinds of pop-in neighbors.
Oh, definitely.
Which was what you experienced.
Because they, like, can go in many different ways. And normally it's ways that are just kind of, like, a little ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just, like, literally, just sometimes, just, like, say you're going to sleep and close the door.
Yeah, I'm going to bed. Leave me the fuck alone. Go away.
What are all those people doing there?
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast today. Go check us out on all of our social medias at Campfire Thought. If you'd like to join the conversation, email us at campfirethoughts@gmail.com. And I hope you guys have a very tasteful and pleasant evening. Goodbye, America.
Goodbye.